Welcome to part 2 of Joe and I's interview of French Stewart. Okay. So this question is kind of to both of you. Let's hear a little bit about Professor's Body-Wise's traveling menagerie Kaiser Permanente.
Kaiser Permanente.
Yeah. Kaiser Permanente.
Excuse
me.
I can tell that Joe knows. You need good food like a car needs gas to be strong at play and alert in class. Say food.
Food.
Good food.
Good food.
Like exercise. Hike a bike. Look, we did a whole thing for Kaiser Permanente. We drove a puppet truck to hell. Me and Joe, I worked there for 6 years. You were like...
Well, actually, what happened, you were there a couple of years before me because I shamelessly rode your coattails. I called them up and said, hey, this is a great job. People are making good money here. $100 a day to push a button. Hey.
That's right.
I know French Stewart.
That's right.
Tell French Stewart.
We would just travel. We would, in the morning, we would do 3 shows a day at any given school forever. And you would get up at 5:30 or 6 in the morning.
Oh, dark 30.
Yeah, dark 30. And then you'd drive a puppet truck to wherever. You'd go, sometimes you're going to Pasadena. Sometimes you're in Crenshaw. Sometimes you're in a place where they don't want your damn puppet show. Sometimes they're happy to see your puppet show. You don't know. And so me and Joe did this forever. And the thing is that we would take the puppet truck down to a place like San Diego. And the whole show is basically look, eat good food, get some exercise, don't do drugs, don't drink.
Preventative medicine for
kids.
Yeah,
don't touch the stove. It's preventative medicine. And so during the day we would do that message, and then at night we'd go to Tijuana, and we would eat street food and smoke pot and go crazy. And then the next day we'd come back in, and it's you need good food like a car needs gas to be strong and play. And we drove this puppet truck forever. Yeah, and it was, but it's kind of like a version of vaudeville, because you come in every day, you set up, and you don't know what you're gonna get.
Build your set.
You build your set. You put on costumes. You do the whole thing. And sometimes, you're in the middle of something, and some kid's my dad's a dentist, and you don't know how to get back from it. You don't know, it's because it's interactive and everything. But one time, we were there, and some kid was hassling Joe as he's putting away his stuff. And Joe's pushing stuff up the ramp. He's just done his show. He's pushing stuff up, and the kid's saying, you were in a costume. You're not real. And Joe keeps moving it up, and the kid says, you're not real. You were in a costume. I saw you change your costume, and you're not real. Joe keeps pushing it up. Finally, you're not real. And Joe finally goes, yeah, you know what? Neither is Santa or the Easter Bunny. Now get your ass off my ramp. And then he got in trouble from Lisa Beasley, our boss. But it was 1 week, and then Joe comes back. So, Joe...
It was under my breath. The kid never really heard it.
No,
that's all I'm saying.
Is that what you're going to go
with? The kid never really heard it.
You ruined that kid's life.
Well, he ruined mine. That's what I got to say.
Yeah, no.
I still wake up at night in a fisheye lens.
Oh, that's one of my actor's nightmares, is I'm still doing that. Do you ever get that one?
French has got this big old toothbrush, okay, and he's brushing his teeth, brushing this big old monster's teeth.
Yeah, they have an oversized toothbrush.
Huge toothbrush, brush round and round, brush those teeth. And French was great at throwing stuff out to the audience, throwing it out there to the kids. He looks out to the audience, and he goes, hey, this is a toothbrush. You know what you do with this, right? What can you do with this, kids? And some little kid from the back of the room sits up and says,
why don't you put it in your ass, man?
Yeah, because some people didn't care about the
Didn't give two shits.
Yeah, didn't care about the puppets.
That happened at a juvenile institution.
Well, because we would do shows in Beverly Hills where they had just had a scaled down version of Les Mis in their cafetorium. And then
you
we
were following
following
that.
with the following with our big old carpet stuff.
Oh my! Well, this is not the first time you've let some kids
Thanks.
down. You were Yogi the Bear, right?
Yeah.
And you got fired from that gig.
Yeah, I got fired from being Yogi the Bear. I was working.
How do you ever keep a job? Good
I
God!
don't know. I was standing out in front of the Yogi earthquake simulator van, the Yogi shaky quakey van. And my job was just to stand there as Yogi in a suit and just do this, you don't say anything. And so the kids come up and they get in the van, and then it simulates like a 4.5 earthquake. And so it shakes them around. But it was like August, and it was hot, and I was in the outfit, and it was shaking me around. And finally, I didn't feel very good, and so I just all the kids saw was Yogi just tearing his own head off. I just pulled my head off, and I just threw up into my head. And then they were just very quiet, and then they stopped the ride, and then they took me out, and then I never came back again. I didn't get the invite back because I threw up in my head. But that's life, That's life at the Shaky Quakey Van.
That's the shaky quakey.
That's
life.
the Shaky Quakey life.
No.
It was $100 a day, and no one sees your face. Yeah.
No, but eventually,
They did see my face.
Yeah, 1992 rolls around, and you get your first big television break on the new Wkrp in Cincinnati.
Yeah, it was a dreadful show. It was like they basically rebooted the old WKRP in Cincinnati, but it wouldn't show like at normal times where a sitcom would. It was always on like 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday. And so nobody was taking it super seriously, but I was kind of still into it, because it was like a job. And I was like, I remember thinking oh, I'm making $7,000 an episode in 1991. And it was just so, I was into it, but I still, at the time I was a pretty good pothead. And so at one point I'm in the trailer, and they have this one big long trailer that has everybody in it, but the main guy gets to control the air conditioning. And so after the show, I sit back and I smoke some pot, and I'm like, that went really well with me and Tawny Katane and the leftovers from the show and
Hope Alexander.
Yeah, right? And I'm just smoking pot in this room, and then suddenly someone taps on my door, and I open it up, and it's the first AD, and he says, "Hey, French, are you smoke a little pot?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, did you want some?" And he goes, "Well, no, it's just that your air conditioner controls everything." And so basically, I had just smoked pot and just smoked out, all the guest stars, old women, children, everybody got it. And they all started complaining, and I was like, oh, no. But that was back when you could still go, smoke pot over, they still had Gilligan's Island. They still had the lagoon over there, and all the grips would go over there, and it was, it was just a weird time. Nobody took anything too seriously, but, people were also garbage. But, it was really a good way for me to start to learn how to work and how to be an adult, and, that it was time to stop dicking around because,
Well, and then after that, French, shit started popping.
It just started sort of going.
You got spots on Seinfeld, Larry Sanders Show.
Yeah.
You ventured into feature film there for a while.
Yeah.
I personally remember the top of what was that? The first film you did?
Oh,
Leaving Las Vegas.
Leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah, Leaving Las
I
Vegas.
remember the very top of that you came in. You had a little cameo.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was
with all these stars.
It was really interesting. It was that first moment where you feel like, that you're where you want to be. Where you're like, oh, I know it's just a small thing at the top of this movie, but it's doing exactly what I want to do. And
it was you had Nicolas Cage at the helm of it.
Nicolas Cage won his Oscar for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
the first thing we see is French Stewart.
Yeah, it's like some Eastern Bloc businessman just watching a stripper with just dead lizard eyes.
The creepiest thing ever.
Right. Yeah.
Just
man.
creepy.
Yeah, just creepy. But it was one of those things where I got the job. I went into audition for Mike Figgis, and I said, they said, well, there are no sides. He just wants to have you come in. And so I came in and he said, well, just tell me a story, or just talk to me. And I was like, okay. And so I just started talking to him, and I can't even remember what I told him, but then he was like, okay, you'll do fine. And then and then that was it. And I was like, is that it? It's like, and then they just, wardrobe people started calling me. So it was just it's just fluky, fluky. But that's the other thing, is that I've always had really good luck. Like, which is, I would say 60% of it.
Yeah?
I think so.
You think? I think there's a lot of talent there that you're overlooking.
But I also, I think you have to have it, but I also think that, like, the luck component, man. Because right. I just know too many people who should have, like, a larger career, like, too many.
Well, yeah, and I think I've quoted before, but Denzel Washington said luck is being prepared when opportunity comes around. And I mean, you, like you said, you're a very talented guy, and luck just happened to fall on you, and you were ready for it, and you ran. Yeah.
Yeah. I knew what to do when I got it, but
And
Go ahead.
No, please.
But you were also on Stargate, which had like James Spader and Kurt Russell. Did you have a little bit bigger role in that one?
Yeah. I had kind of like a nice sort of minor supporting role, but I'm throughout the thing, and it was that was really interesting, because that was like a $70 million movie in like 1992. So it was just like it was huge.
Yeah, it was a Roland Emmerich movie, so it was all out.
It was all out, and so. It was just fun to it was just fun to be a part of something that was just like a big, tiny,
huge
movie. And, but it was also like at that point, like Jay Davidson was in it, and he had just come off The Crying Game, which was like, he played like the alien guy in it, but he had just come off The Crying Game, where he was like, I think he got nominated for a lot of stuff, but he was like a drug addict. And they kept trying to lure him into the show, and he kept saying, "Well, I'm not really workable. I live in London. I'm a heroin addict. I can't." And they were like, "Well, we'll give you this much money for this much time," and they just made it to the point where it was like, "We'll give you $2 million for 3 weeks or whatever," and he was like, "Oh, well, I can't turn that down. I'm a drug addict." And so he showed up, and he was a drug addict, And so I remember, like, he was like, there's this point where he's like supposed to come out of the sarcophagus, and I've just been beat up by an alien. I'm looking, and the sarcophagus opens, and I see his hands flip out, and I'm like, oh my God, what, this guy really knows how to build the tension. And then suddenly we just hear, and he'd just fallen asleep, and then his hands sort of went limp, and they were like, cut, okay, let's go to lunch, but like that type of thing, you see it and you're like, it's sad, too, because you're like, oh, there's just a very talented person fighting something. But at the time, they didn't look at it as like, oh, he's fighting an addiction. They just looked at it as like, get yourself together, F up.
Right.
So, but I think he's like completely together now.
Oh,
which is nice.
That's nice.
But
you get starstruck?
What's that?
You get starstruck?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in that movie with Kurt Russell.
I can say guys? Like Kurt Russell, that he knows how to talk to people. He's just very like direct. He clearly loves his wife. He's married to Goldie Hawn, or they've been together and not married, but forever.
How could you not be into Goldie Hawn?
That's and they're just like, he just clearly loved her, and but he said, look, you're working a 6-day schedule. I'm only gonna work 5 because I want to go see my kid's hockey game. And so they were like, okay, you only work 5 days, and he has a pilot's license, and so we would be out in the desert in Yuma, and Kurt would be off, and you'd know he was back, like on his way back to Los Angeles, because he would buzz the set in his plane. He would just like fly down, and it's just like kick up dust. Everybody's like, oh, Kurt, you bastard. He was kind of old school. He would like get a dune buggy and just drive it out with his longtime makeup man. And they would just go out and drive dune buggies like out in the desert. But he was cool. He was just sweet, Yeah. But together.
Yeah, I love Kurt Russell. I think that's great. Yeah.
Great stories.
What differences do you find between feature film acting and TV acting, if any, or what?
Yeah. It's sort of, I think it all really depends on the budget. I mean, like if you're doing a sitcom, it's really about, it's really about an extended sketch comedy thing where you've got 5 days to do it, and it's going to change a ton, and you've got to be flexible. A lot of times with a film or something, you know what you're doing, and there will be little things, but you know what you're doing like weeks in advance, and so it's a little easier to settle in, whereas TV is just always like a panic.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so you continue to work. Yeah. When you just cough all over the mic.
Coughing up a lung.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Jesus.
Oh no, Joe.
Oh no! Can't say that.
Joe.
No. I don't have the COVID. I've been tested. I'm good.
I don't know if I
I
trust
don't know,
you.
Joe. I don't know.
Well, you continue to work steadily up. You're right on up to you getting the call, and you all were together. I think you said right.
Yeah.
For Third Rock from the Sun.
That's right.
He was sitting in my living room. when
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
the
That's right.
Third Rock from the Sun.
I forgot about that.
I think he was as incredulous as anyone else in that room. He was like, "Oh, I just got some work."
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like
So cool.
The other thing was because like Joe knows, like at that point I was like, I said it before, I was like a pretty good pothead. And so I had like gone home from my first audition for Third Rock and thought, oh, that went pretty well. And so, I ripped one off my big old bong, and then I was like sitting in the tub and just like enjoying me. And then my manager calls and says, oh, they want to see you again. They want to see you now. And I was like, now? And they said, now. Can you go? And I was like, look, I'm going to be honest. I'm pretty high. And she said, okay, well, can I buy you an hour? And I said, yeah. And so, all right. So I got an hour to kind of get my head right, and it's sobering as it is. It's like, okay. And so I go on, and I go in, and I do the thing. And they were like, oh, okay. It's a little different from last time, but we like it. Okay. And so basically, like, I ended up squinty for 6 years because I was just like high at my callbacks.
That was going to be my question. Where did that shit come from?
There you go. Moving on.
There you go. Just kidding.
Well, I noticed through watching you do Third Rock over and over. Our group of guys would hang out and we just like throw comedy back and forth at each other for hours on hours on end. And I would notice some of this stuff like pop up every once in a while on the show.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
Because you take it like you just like your friend. You're like, oh, I'm gonna take that shtick, or I'm gonna do like.
It was just it was just like watching a piece of art because you just take and piece it together and make it make it your own. That was the wildest character ever.
Yeah, it was fun though. It was like everybody's really nice too.
How do you prepare to play an alien?
I did like virtually no homework. I just thought I'm just gonna go weird and just be that. But it's like John Lithgow set the tone from the top. He's a gracious man. He's
not too shabby.
Oh, he's a hard worker and he's good at everything. Like he went to Harvard. Graduated from Harvard. He was a Fulbright scholar. He plays all these instruments. He can speak all these languages. The interesting thing about him is that he grew up his father ran a summer stock in Ohio. And so they always, whenever like a new cast album for something would come out, they would all listen to it as a family. And there were all these like, his dad was just very into the theater. And so John told me that when he first started getting roles in film, that his father was very disappointed because he thought that film was low art.
Oh, wow.
And so John would just like, it wasn't until I think he got like nominated for an Oscar
Which was like his, second film?
Yeah. That his father was like, oh, okay, I guess we can heal.